Greetings, everyone. Salutations. So, one of the uh, one of the realities that are also present among everything, among all the issues that are going on. When you hear about the death toll is rising, and people are affected by this directly and indirectly. But let's talk about let's talk about how there are people who won't receive any relief from the CARES Act. What are they supposed to do? There are people who will not receive any type of relief from the CARES Act. Who at one point were working or making a way for themselves, and for whatever reasons we can blame, etc., all kinds of put blame on them and whatever, but the point is they're not going to receive any emergency funds. Are they supposed to just perish? See, this is why I say each moment it's a lifetime, because there's so many different elements that are attached to this phenomenon that's taking place, because that, to me, that's what it is. It's a phenomenon. It's a curse. And with this CARES Act that was signed into law, a lot of the funding is going to go in the hands of people who do not need it. Folks are going to do everything in their power to siphon the little bit of inflated monies that's in that CARE Act to make $6 trillion look like pennies, look worthless, because they're going to do everything in their power to take whatever they can take and forget about everyone else, and take whatever they can take through nefarious, shady means. On top of the fact that there are people who are just not going to receive that help. And I'm not talking about the folks who make above, 150, 200K, 250K and up. I'm not talking about that. People who fall under those guidelines or that class, because this is a classist situation that's going on over here. So just like the frontline workers, hashtag frontliners, first responders, the poor is just as expendable. People who are impoverished, people who are destitute, people who just get by with what they have on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, who have no means now to make it happen, can't even assemble some cans and bottles to recycle because they're under social quarantine or social distancing and lockdown. How are they going to make a way? I know people who collect bottles and cans. In 2020, like People do that. People are indigent. There are indigent people out here. There are vulnerable people out here. No, but they're expendable. It's just close your eyes, bow your head, and just pray that everything is going to be fine. That's not enough. That's not enough. How does that weigh on a person's conscience, man? Like, it took 2 weeks for the House and the Senate to come to an agreement to sign a bill, to get a bill signed that doesn't even help everyone. And they, never mind the fact that they just printed, maybe it was already there, but monies were just infused into the economy just out of the thin air. Never mind that. Never mind that, that we always hear about issues and stuff, but money can just be printed out to resolve, right? There are people who will not receive any emergency funding whatsoever. What are they supposed to do? When you're relieved or you're fired from a job in New York City, for example, I don't know how it is in other states, in other areas, but when you're fired from a job and you had health insurance and then you no longer have health insurance, your job, in many cases, would send a notice in the mail telling you that you can, and this was before the Affordable Care Act. I don't know how it is now. You would get a notice from your employer who fired you, letting you know that this special type of health insurance will kick in as long as you pay hundreds of dollars per month to be covered by that health insurance for one person. Okay, CMS meaning Medicaid, I guess they're lifting some of their strict guidelines because of COVID, to help the people, but people don't have it, man. This is a very telling sign. Like, I personally, I don't envy any world leader, elected official at this point right now. I just don't envy them at all. Like, they're targets because it's about survival at this point. It's about survival. How do we survive? I put we. I'm no different. I'm at the bottom, just like everyone else who's at the bottom. I just so happen to, now I'm required and mandated to serve. So, but even with that, my illustrious Governor Cuomo reported yesterday that we don't have a budget. The budget was supposed to have been cleared yesterday, March 31st. So we don't have a budget. So, which means that the controller cannot issue checks on time as far as paychecks. So we were also told that paychecks will be delayed. It's easy to say, it's easy to judge, it's easy to point fingers. It's so easy to say you should have did this and you should have did that. It's, hindsight is 2020, like the year. It's remarkable how this year everything is 2020. It's easy to just you know, place blame until it happens to you, until you're in that position. Then what do? You pretty much were sequestered in our homes. If we go outside, we have limited mobility. And I'm not saying that by way of, we just have limited choices of what we can really do. Those of us who do it are, some people exclaim that, these folks are just, they're asleep. They don't see what's really going on. They don't see everything that's taking place. The Gestapo, and those who do see it or who claim they're awakened, I find it hard that there are attempts to help those who may not see, how their attempts are feeble in nature, because you're still under the same, dealing with the same guidelines, dealing with the same issues, dealing with the same universal laws that we're governed by, and dealing with the same pandemic, whether it's a hoax or not. It's in the air. What's real is we have a heartbeat. Many don't because they died for whatever reason. Not just about corona, but people pass away all the time, every day. It's a fact of life. So when you bring it back to these simple origins, this simple meaning, the simple, because everything that's complex has a simple beginning. When you bring it back to the simple and you look at how crazy things have gotten and become, you just like in bewilderment and say, wow, this is how we're living now. This is what we've created. This is what we've created. Crime is going to go up, and it's probably gone up already. I haven't researched the stats, and what's probably gone up already, and we may not ever know the real figures in how much it's gone up, or how many people have even succumbed to illness, and especially to this pandemic. Survival. When you have elderly parents, elderly relatives, and these responsibilities are resting on your shoulders, or you can't reach out or even see your parents if they're in a nursing home, much less if they're in a different country. The stress that brings, that level of anxiety and powerlessness, it's debilitating. And then you're told something that you already know. Be prepared for a very painful 2 weeks. That's the best we could come to. What happened to the CARES Act? And these names, CARES Act. CARES, the acronym, right? We care. This is a measure to show how we care. There are scammers already siphoning monies from this CARES Act. They can't wait to seek their claws and fangs into this CARES Act. This is the best. This is the best we could do right now. You know, this is a gap right now, a 14-day gap of supreme deprivation for many right now. For many. For many. Homeless. What are the homeless gonna do? People in the shelter systems. Folks that rather be in jail instead of be in the streets because at least they have 3 hots and a cot. What are they gonna do when they're released? With no support. No support. Animal instinct kicks in. Tired of living life this way, crime pays, but for how long? A quote from Prodigy, from Mobb Deep. May his soul rest in peace. The element of society that, you know, considered the underworld, they're active too. They're active too. They're active. Nothing can be ignored. Nothing can be taken for granted. Nothing at this point can be taken for granted. Even this worthless, you know, in the crypto community, when you talk about, you know, fiat and how worthless it is, devalued, and banksters and government and this and that. And I mean, but check this out right now, man. That fiat is worth something at this point. Because not everyone now, it's back to simple terms. People don't understand blockchain. Many people, most of the world, don't care for blockchain. Or else it would have been more, I guess, in practice, widespread. A lot of these things that, you know, taking so much time. We have an antiquated system. This government system is so antiquated. Big government, big brother is so antiquated, slow moving. You have to wait. You know, initially the date was April 6th, and now you have to wait 2 weeks after that because the people took forever to get their shit together, meaning the House of Representatives and the Senate took forever arguing back and forth over some monies that could just be printed to help the people get by immediately. The blockchain could have gave them that money same day, instantly. But people don't care about the blockchain, right? We're not there yet, man. We're not there. We're not there. We're not there. We're worse off than we were in 2008. We're worse off. We're worse off than we were in 2008. And the blockchain was introduced to the world to temper, to fight against the financial systems, the central banking systems. Here it is, 11 years later. We're so far behind still. Still. There's people who can't make it on their own, man. They can't. They can't. They can't. And they won't. Very painful 2 weeks. You might as well just had a funeral service ahead of time. Might as well. put all the cards on the table, but you can't do that. You can't expose your hand because it's about politics. It's what we do. Government leaders playing government leaders at the expense of all the people who they're supposed to represent and basically work for. We're just cattle. Lambs being led to the slaughter. That's all. That's all. Everything has a spin, you know? Nothing is free. You look at social media, people are talking about $10,000 free grants, videos out of nowhere, videos of, SBA loan, videos out of nowhere. $10,000, get your free 10,000. Nothing is free. Freedom costs. Paycheck protection program, business loans, SBA, this and that, smiling, grinning. Meanwhile, there's a population of people who are seething in pain, and each day that goes by, their pain increases. I can't ignore that. I can't ignore that because I see it for what I do for a living, and I see it just living out here. It's incredibly depressing, but it's a part of reality that can never forget that for an instant, I could become that. We can become that. We could have nothing in an instant. Life can just change. Not just because of COVID, just because of anything. This is how life is. Meanwhile, people are, I don't know, man. You want to talk about self-interest? You want to talk about selfishness? You want to talk about, being greedy? Greed is a major factor in what brings the worst out of people. And we're going to see that in many facets in the next number of days. We're going to see it.